Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to the Erudition Network. We are later tonight than we usually are due to some things that I had to take care of today. I did put out a message for all of our viewers earlier. So if you can't catch us here on the live session tonight, I'm sure we will catch you sometime. I don't want to be making sure like I'm, uh, uh, being endorsed by Sonic. Someone move that off of there. But if you are joining us tonight, I hope that it's not too late for you. Sorry, I saw a message pop up. I thought it was from StreamYard letting me know that there was an issue. Hey, as always, this program is an interactive history session where we talk about predominantly Black history, but history in general. And we get on here to try to enlighten everyone on things that historically, we may not have really got a hold of in school, And so what we try to do every Thursday is provide you with some kind of history knowledge and understanding. And we try to make it interactive so that you have the ability. Okay, so this is live. Yes, it is live. I'm a little late, Mike. I had some things that were going on today that we had to take care of. Some personal things had to go on, so I had to come on a little bit late. However, we're here. Try not to miss an interactive history session on a Thursday because I know how important it is to prioritize your history. And that is something that I am constantly telling people that they need to do. So, tonight, I didn't want to miss this session tonight. What is interesting is that if you're on here, if you come on and this is your first time, been here before, let us know that you're here. Good to see you, Eric. I see Mike, Eric, and Tina on. Sean Anthony is on. Thank you. Hey, share the program, please. Thank you all. I know you all that I see on here are longtime viewers and family and folks who have been shanghaied to make sure that you are on here, even in the background, like my wife. She can't miss a session because, it's a part of marriage. I try not to miss her sessions either. And I try to be participatory in the things that she does, right? As well as my son. So I appreciate you all being here. And Mike and Eric, I appreciate you too. Not to belittle your presence. I am very happy that you all are here. What's been going on, everybody? I hope everything has been going well with you. Mike said, oh, yeah, I noticed you guys have been off, man. I'll be happy when you guys get back on. I always love you all's perspective. Interactive by active question commenting and sharing. Oh, I try to do that. That's why I host the show. I try to interact. Oh, you're talking about the other people. Oh, okay. I get you. But no, it's so much going on, you all. I'm actually in a better place than I was last week. If you guys watched, if you watched the show last week, Eric, I saw you sent me a thing saying, man, you sound a little angry. And I am a little angry because, man, there's so much going on. But you got to have humor. There's so much going on in the world right now. So it gets to a point with me where I'm like, man, why are we not focused on history? And Eric, you bring up an important point here. I'm not happy with terrorist state of Israel. Yeah, that's a huge issue going on right now. And there is history behind those issues, right? And we have young babies being killed, murdered, blown apart. And, everyone takes a one-way look at this and doesn't see it as something that is affecting them. And it does. Hey, Natasha, good to see you. Yeah, you made it. You made another show. Thank you for your support. I saw you dropped in with Tina, and I saw you, I think, briefly on the boys' show too. I really appreciate your support. Love you and your husband. I hope everything is going well. I hope you guys are blessed. Lonnie, what's going on, cuz? Good to see you. Happy to see you. I hope God's blessing you and keeping you in your businesses and everything that you're doing. I appreciate your support and being here with us tonight. But I was making a point to you all that, you know, this history thing to me is serious. It is very serious, and I get into a point sometimes where I think sometimes I got to take a step back. You know, I gotta make myself understand that it's not going to be the same way for everybody, you know, as it is for me. Um, and it shouldn't be, you know, it shouldn't be. Um, you know, the conflicts of the world haven't changed. We still are dealing with imperialism, nationalism, militarism. We're dealing with alliances, right? Um, the idea of these understandings or agreements that countries like ours have made with people um, that are affecting us. Bless you too. And it's it's gotten such to a point where we're going to have to admonish it. Oh, I don't know, Eric. This is late for me. You know, I do a lot that goes on in my day, but I'm glad that we were able to be on tonight. It's absolutely terrible. They're purposely targeting people who are trying to feed them and heal their wounds. Yes, it's horrible. Um, it's passion mixed with frustration, not anger per se. You know, let's talk about that. If you look at the history of it, right? Imperialism, which has been something that Africans really understand, the imperialistic system of people trying to rule over you, rule over the things that the babies and things that come out of you, rule over what you eat, what you do. It's huge, right? Um, and we're still seeing that. Well, we don't have people who say they want to take over countries, as we really see what's going on with Israel right now, where people say, well, this is ours and it should be ours. And we're going to use this as an excuse to make sure that what should be ours is ours, right? And then imperialism always is followed by another form of of negativity. It's called nationalism. And I don't know if you all were taught or remember what you were taught about nationalism in school, but nationalism, right, is when a country wants to prove that they are greater than any place else, that they are the strongest entity out there. Nationalism is something that America has been guilty of for centuries. This nationalistic idea, that old funny saying from that movie, God bless America and no place else. you know, um, people want to form their nation and they want to believe that their nation is powerful. In order to push nationalism to an extreme, we go into another ism, and that is militarism. And we're seeing that. So you start with your imperialism. You turn your imperialism where you take over a place, or you believe you should own a place, and then you push nationalism to get everybody caught up in the idea of supporting you. And then you push militarism, right? Where you arm yourself to defend and, if need be, invade others, right? And in order to protect that historically, what you've had to do was to go into an alliance. An alliance. And this is where we are right now. America has allied itself with Israel. So when Israel does any of the things that it's doing that we see as tragedies, horrors, it's not saying that the Palestinian extremists haven't done horrible things. Nobody's arguing that. But when we look at what is being done, right? They call it, what is it? Entente, right? An understanding, an agreement. That is what it's called. If you all remember that from history class, maybe social studies class, that's what they told us it was, right? And so we have to be very careful of how we do these things. We have to be very careful for how we do these things, because I specifically try to cover African American history here, right? Zionism is not Jewish. Yeah, we could have a debate on that. Your passion, so the anger is understandable. Lord knows. Yeah, it gets really, I have to step back sometimes, Mike, because if I did not step back, my anger could be considered to be something that I don't want it to be. Let's just put it that way. I don't want people thinking that I'm so angry with what we're doing. It does anger me that we don't prioritize, but I understand everybody has different prioritizations and things that they have to do and places that they have to go and people they have to see. So I understand it. And so I have to understand that. But because I spend so much of my time teaching history, nationalism is horrible, Lonnie, and it is something that we fall into. People worship country more so than they worship God. And as I've often said, it becomes an issue of God and country. We used to think that it was, man, it's God and country for me. But we didn't realize that people weren't saying that. What they were saying was, those are the same thing together. God and country together as one entity. Jesus wrapped up at an American flag, or whatever God you serve, wrapped up in an American flag, telling yourself that you're better than everybody else, and forgetting the one commandment that should allow you with every other commandment to love one another. To love one another as I have loved you. And we are losing that. We have people who are nationalistic to such a point where they are worshiping the flag as an idol. That is not something we should be doing. We are supporting nationalism in Ukraine. I can't say what they really are on here, but we know what they are. I can't say what they really are. Well, there's a lot of, we also have to understand there's a lot of racism too that goes on in a lot of these situations. And I've always said that at the heart of it, the African seems to be the one, or the people of African descent seem to suffer. You remember when the Ukrainian war started, how they tried to keep the Africans in country in Ukraine, and they were telling them, arm yourselves and fight for us. These were students. These were people who should have been allowed to go home. And they were telling them that, and we don't like to talk about what was being done. I remember even Putin was saying that they are racists, right, in Ukraine, and that there has been issues of racism. And so there is always this underlying part of race that lies within these in these European issues, rather it's Eastern Europe or Western Europe, it's still there. You know, and why is that? Why is that? Because if you all remember, from the 1870s to say the 1940s, just before World War II, maybe you don't, maybe you all don't remember the history, but remember they were splitting up Africa. The European powers had split up Africa. They colonized Africa in the 1800s. Belgium, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, England, and Portugal. And to some extent, even America. We went in and we took over these areas. So there is a position that they feel that they own things. So when you look at European imperialism, because we talked, for some reason, that's what we're on tonight. Wasn't really what I was going to talk about, but it's good that you all brought that up in the interactive, right? Because people sought territories. They wanted colonies. They had been that way even before going into the 16 and 1700s, 1500s to actually the 1800s. We were looking at people who felt enlightened. What does enlightened really mean? Enlightened really means that I feel that I understand how government and God should work. And we are taught in our schools, sorry, I'm going to shift a little bit, in our schools, this enlightenment that led to imperialism. Because once you believe that you are greater than anyone else, then you don't have to respect anyone else. Once you align things away from God to the scientific method, You told yourself, this isn't important. This isn't important. However, those who said they were using the scientific process and scientific revolution and enlightenment, what they did not tell you was that they were using that suitably in order for them to be able to rule and control others. Control others. This is why, to this day, science and religion seem to be anathema to each other. They're fighting each other. That's not because that's the truth. It was very religious men who decided that they wanted to learn about science, right? You go look at the astronomer Ptolemy, right? Who said that that the universe was geocentric, right? Earth-centered. That's what he had. That's what he said. And the church, right, accepted his theory because they wanted to believe that they were the center of everything. But around the late 1500s, when Copernicus came out and said, no, that's not the case, we are a heliocentric creation or universe, they wanted to label him as a heretic. So what am I saying? Control. That shows you control. People did not want to talk about these scientific ideas, the Keplers, the Galileos. They didn't want to talk about these things before their death or until they were old men because they were afraid. They were afraid of bucking the system, bucking the idea. What else you guys are here saying? There is a saying from the show's newsroom that says America. Yeah, I think I've seen that, but it's true. Since we are in imperialism, Haiti. Can we talk about Haiti? We can. We can. But let's remember something. Whenever I talk about Haiti, I like people to understand that Haiti is the way that it is. And while people are discussing how Haiti is so bad, and I'm not saying that it's not, but Haiti is the way that it is because of America. We did that. We made Haiti the way that it is. We made Haiti the way that it is because of our greed, imperialism. And it's not to say I'm look, I am a veteran. But I will tell you that the greed and the desire to hold and control Haiti, Cuba, and parts of South America has always been a problem. Has always been a problem. Even since the time of Hispaniola, even since the beginning of, what did you say here? U.S. and the French. They've always had a problem with Haiti being one of the first places in the modern world that freed itself, where slaves and blacks and Africans rose up and indigenous rose up to fight against the powers of the day. When Francois Louverture and over 100,000 slaves revolted, they took over Hispaniola. Now, what does that mean? That meant that Haiti and the Dominican Republic came under African and indigenous control for the first time since Columbus. And because it was the first independent state in Latin America that was run by slaves, it has always been a target. It has been a target of corruption. It has been a target of lies and misunderstandings. I heard a preacher say that Haitians were devil worshipers. Haitians were just all voodoo. would it surprise you that the Haitians were actually very, very in turn to serving God. But because they served it in a way that was not Catholic in what they thought the Catholics thought it should be, and because it was not in a way or in keeping with the way they thought Christianity should work, they called Haitians and indigenous people in Hispaniola, they called them devil worshippers. They called them heretics. And this has gone on for centuries. They said that during the revolution that they cursed these people. And that's the reason why the French troops who were under Napoleon and under a great strong military had to fall to these savages. And we co-sign this foolery because we don't spend the time learning the history. Nobody says that the Romans or the Italians were devil worshippers because they went and tried to push the Church of Rome, the Catholic Church beliefs throughout Africa and the Middle East. They didn't say that they were heretics. History doesn't tell us that. History tells us that the Crusades, that these were righteous men, even though we know that they weren't. Even though we know that there were a whole slaughters. As I'm writing my new book, and we start to touch on some of the things that were done during the Middle Ages. They were cruel. They were inhuman. But we don't say that they were heretics in the way that we say about the Haitians, about the Black people in South America. And we do this because we feel duped. America is schooled under a Prussian mentality. The Prussian people, their education system was made and designed to control, to condition, to make you think a certain way. And America does the same thing in its learning and its teaching. So I don't really get mad at people when they say certain things because I understand where it comes from. But it is the reason why I tell you to prioritize your history. It is the reason why I tell you, right, that you need to understand your history so that you can understand what is going on today. And I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. Sometimes you read things and you say to yourself, man, why? Oh, I don't want to read that. I don't want to know that. Haiti is the way it is because of, and I'm glad you brought that up, Eric, that I didn't say that. Is the way that it is because of the interference of America. Most people can't tell you that in 1914, Woodrow Wilson landed troops in Haiti. And then he furthered his American expansion in 1916 as World War I was starting and beginning. They continued to invade Mexico, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Panama. Why is that? He kept forces in Nicaragua. He made sure that America determined who these countries' presidents would be. But we don't know that. We don't know that. So when we go back to this idea of imperialism, nationalism, and how that shapes things, Woodrow Wilson was one of the most racist presidents we ever had. Go look at his record. He segregated the armed forces. He segregated the government. He co-signed the KKK. He watched Birth of a Nation and the White House. He ignored lynching, murders, destruction. When black soldiers and black people came back from World War I, Wilson did not support or send help for people who were being murdered. But this is the person who interfered with the forward progress of Haiti. It's not surprising that a few years later, a person like Papa Doc could come in and rule Haiti and take American money from the American government, from both Democratic and Republican presidents, all the way up until the late 60s, early 70s, with the idea that they were going to stand and allow them to stand in the gap and to be able to fight against Cuba should there be any reason to invade Cuba. And after we had sat there and looted and robbed and allowed that warmonger to kill and murder Haitians and cause gang warfare and teach people to be afraid and scared and run. And after we told people, you can't come to America, you must stay in that country under that torture. Now we point our finger and say, look at Haiti. We have to know our history in order to move forward in time, to know what is being done right now. Why do you think Donald Trump, the former president, called Haiti a S-hole country? Why do you think when Haiti had its earthquake and all that money was set down, and they can't tell you where billions of dollars of that money went, and they blamed it on the Haitians, but we have no proof that that money even arrived at the island? And I heard a preacher say, you go to the Dominican Republic, you can have a celebration and a vacation, but if you go to Haiti, you worried if you're going to get your head cut off. You know why? Because the Dominican Republic has been stabilized by American dollars and put that way where we put forces and things into that country to make Haiti look horrible. Because racism has a long memory. Great subject. A lot of evils, a lot of horrors, but great subject. And I hope that tonight you learned something from what I'm telling you. And I would suggest that you go pick up a book, and maybe I'll look through my library and go read about Woodrow Wilson. There's a great book from his name escapes me right now. Hutchison is his last name. And it's a book on presidential failures, a history of it. And he goes to each president and he talks about the Haitian issue in his book. But there are several things that you can study to go expand your history before we make a generalized opinion of these people and say, oh, no, they're getting what they deserve because they're devil worshipers. They're voodooists. They're outside of the eyes of God. Well, who are we to say that? Who are we to say that? Well, you have not allowed these people to even come to your shores. When Haitians did come to America in the 80s, they called them devil worshipers, voodooists, and drug dealers. We effectively allow the propaganda and the demonization of people, and we co-sign it without actually trying to learn anything. And unfortunately, what that does is it puts us in a hole. It puts us in a hole that we shouldn't be in. If we would simply try to open our eyes and open our mind. Am I saying to you that witchery and devilry and all of these things don't exist? Not at all. But what I am going to say is that we have to stop telling ourselves and co-signing things with people which we have no proof of, no actual physical evidence of. We have to stop doing that. Because as we do that, we fail the people who we really should be protecting. Who we really should be protecting. Any other questions tonight? I really loved those two things we talked about, because I do believe that those things should be talked about in general, because I do believe that we're falling under a lie. Under a lie. Anybody, anything, I'm here for you. Oh, I'm happy that you did with that, Lonnie. I really am. As much as I love my country, we have a history that really makes me give the good old USA some serious side. And as well, we should. But America, Mike, is a country that has been established for you to question your government. At least that's what they told us. It is a government that is designed for democracy, for you to be able to question what is being done. Nobody talks about it, you know, so I'm glad you're talking about it and so knowledgeable of it. I think that we can all be knowledgeable of it, Eric. And I think that, you know, a lot of times, as I told you before, I think I told you when you were talking on Facebook, if you all ask a question, I'm going to do my due diligence to answer it the best that I can. And I'm going to go through timelines and things that I have that are here to help you. Sometimes I have notes, sometimes I have charts, sometimes I have all kinds of things. But I am constantly studying because I want you all to know. Yes, country with religious freedom written in the Constitution, calling other devil worshippers and voodooists. Always, Sean Anthony. A country, mind you, that called the Great Satan. It is called the Great Satan by Iran and in other Middle Eastern countries. And let me tell you why. It's called the Great Satan because it is believed of the hypocrisy. The hypocrisy. Having spent 3 years over in a Middle Eastern country, I can tell you that they do not appreciate the hypocrisy. And they often say, how can Americans, right, claim to be this, that, and the third when they are so hypocritical in their worship? It was the first time that I heard a Muslim tell me, we are instructed to love the Christian as a brother. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah. We are instructed to love a Christian as a brother, as a sister. But what happens is we have to balk at the hypocrisy, because if you say you follow Christ or you follow God and you do hypocritical things, then we see you as being a hypocrite and we cannot accept you. That is why they call you the Great Satan. But that's a good point, Sean Anthony. I know this may have anything to do with Blackers, but do you have any knowledge on the origins of sovereign citizens? Oh, the Moors. So I am spending a lot of my time doing in this new book about the Moors. And I would assume, Mike, and maybe I'm wrong, you clear it up for me, that you're talking about these organizations who feel that they are descendants of the Moors or certain Africans, and that because of that, that makes them sovereign, and that they can do whatever they do because nothing law, goes to them. Just like we have diplomatic immunity, they have the ability and the right to do whatever they want to do. right? So we have those people that is absolutely out here. But I do believe that a lot of them are warped in their beliefs and in their understanding. It's one of the reasons why with this new second book, because if you ain't got the first one, ladies and gentlemen, you might want to get the first one as the second one gets ready to come out, and it will also be interactive. I think I will hold it back a little bit only so that the print and interactive can come out at the same time. But that second book is coming, and it will deal with the Middle Ages, and it will talk about all of these things that I'm talking about tonight, right? But a lot of people misunderstand the Moors, and they tend to forget the Moors, right? That they bought a lot to, and let me clarify this. The reason why we have people who want to be sovereign citizens and claim that they're Moors, that's crazy, because you're an American citizen, and thus meaning either by birth. Now, here's the thing about American citizenship. Ladies and gentlemen, you can go and decline your American citizenship today. You can go and say, I no longer want to be a citizen of America, and I want to be a citizen of Russia, Britain, or whatever. You can do that and leave out of here today. You are born with the right to be an American citizen. So if you're born over here and you have that citizenship, how do you then say that I am sovereign? That I, like the man that went crazy and had the shootout saying that he was a sovereign citizen. I think it was in Baltimore or whatever, or DC, right? He went crazy. No, it was in Pennsylvania. He went crazy and had a shootout with these people because he felt that he was a sovereign Moorish American. And it's foolery, because you are an American citizen enjoying American rights until they tell you to pay for your property, pay for what you do, pay for whatever you're doing. And all of a sudden that citizenship does no longer exist. I'm now a Moor, or I'm whatever you want to call yourself. We give diplomatic immunity to people, to nations that come over here as diplomats, because we expect the same immunity when we go to their country. That's a different type of thing. They are not American citizens. But we have people who are American citizens, claim to be American citizens, claim to get the same health benefits, same legal benefits, whatever little it may be, or however great it may be, and then turn around and say, wait a minute, I don't believe this because I am this. It's foolery. But I am writing specifically to talk about the Moors, how the Moors influenced Europe, because they did. And most of the people, when you talk to them about who claim to be Moors, American Moors, they can't tell you the history of the Moors. Because if they really did, if they really did, they will find that the Moors and the Europeans, right, lived in pretty much peace for almost 800 years. And that the Moors are the ones who pulled the European out of the Dark Ages. They're the ones who lit the fire to the Renaissance, not the people necessarily in Italy, not the people who we give credit for the Renaissance. It was the Moors. When we say that the Library of Alexandria burned down and they say that launched us into the Dark Ages, it was the Moors who came up from Africa. It was the Moors who brought the knowledge of Timbuktu, brought Muslim knowledge to the Christians. It was the Moors who brought math and all of these things to Europe. But by the time we got further into time, the racist European didn't want the Moor. When Spain signed the Ascension del Negro, which was allowed to push slavery and basically to franchise slavery to other nations, let me say chattel African American slavery to other nations, they had already started a war against anybody that was African by barring people of Moorish background from being able to go to college, own property, do anything in their communities or in their nations. They had blacklisted them. And then what they did was now they victimized Africans. Yep. Meanwhile, some Christians try to demonize other religions just for the fact that they merely exist, which kind of goes into the guy will for Christianity, in my opinion. Okay, yeah, I agree, Sean Anthony. Yeah, they can't tell you the history of the Moors, but they can tell you the difference between traveling and driving. Right? It's scary. It seems those wanting unity encourage fact finding, and those wanting division want to control what facts are told. Well, that has always been the case in history, and that is always the case in what we see. People want to control. They want to control. And if we allow them to control, if we allow them to continue to take away from us, they will. You know, I don't belittle any historian that wants to get out there and learn. But what I will say is I've been seeing so many things lately, right? So many things. I'm opening up a book right now. So many things that are wrong. There's, you know, I'm not going to say his book, but there are history books that are out here right now that are just incredible. They're not. They have no credibility. They are opinion based. They spend much of their time. Sorry about that. They spend much of their time telling you what they think without facts. I spent so much of my time on my last book trying to make sure that there were sources that any reader could go to that they could learn and say, oh, okay, I see where Eddie got this from. I see now how I can grow my knowledge. See, that's the most important thing to me. How do you grow your knowledge? How do you move beyond, you know, just a simple understanding? We can all grow in knowledge. My wife recently, she had a book, one of these books that she had on signal detection, right? Signal detection theory. And I was like, you know, there's a lot to be learned from that over time as we deconstruct the science and we try to understand how waves, periodic and aperiodic, and how things work and how this knowledge can be used and how we speak and how we learn and how we interpret information. Eric's on here. How we understand modulation. How do we modulate? How do we put information on a wave? Even as I'm talking right now, that's what's being done. You hear the sound of my voice, but what information, what knowledge is being put on there? The baselines of humanity and the base understanding of how we do things has left us. And I'm going to tell you something. I think it was Pastor Razor. I heard Pastor Razor say, and I heard other people say it too, co-signing is absolutely correct. It seems as if our ancestors were much more smarter than us because they wanted to know and they wanted to make sure we knew. So they wrote down and they correlated all of this information that we don't even look for. We don't even go back to try to read it for ourselves. And now we're in a situation, I'm about to get passionate again. Now we're in a situation where they're taking it from you. My sister put out a post on Facebook the other day, and she was talking about mean, median, and mode, right? And it was a funny post. It was like, somebody said, here I am, and I've never had to use mean, median, and mode in my daily life. And I laughed at that, right? Because I was like, well, that's really not true. But we just don't know how we utilize the knowledge that we have. We have gotten to such a point in our knowledge, right, that we don't spend time trying to understand the stuff that's out here available for us to grow ourselves. And it don't take a lot. It don't take a lot. It only takes very little for you. I've, my family, we have this debate all the time, how we talk about how people often say, oh, I'm old, I don't want to learn anymore. If you're not learning, then you're just living, you're just existing. Whether you believe it or not, God has made you where you learn something every day. And he gives you choice on what you learn. I don't care if it's just that I learned how to drive a different way to my house, right? I learned that if I add too much salt to my meal, it'll bloat me. Whatever it may be, you're learning something every day. So the idea of not learning is silly. It's silly. Learn every day. And when I saw her post, I know my sisters usually probably say, oh, that's my brother again. But I wanted to make her understand that we do use that. You may not think that the equations and the math and the things that you use every day, that they mean nothing. But you use mean every day. When you check the temperature outside, that's using mean. That's an average. That's what a mean is. You use median, right? If you're comparing the height of your kids, right, or people in your family against your larger family against your family, guess what? That's median. How much food is your family eating weekly? From the youngest to the oldest. You're using mean, median, and mode every day. You just don't know what it's called. You pay a bill, a phone bill, or a precise bill, or something that you've bought, and you pay that bill that stays that same price every month for how many months, right? Without fluctuation. While other things fluctuate, guess what that is? That's mode. I say all this to tell you that you're dealing with this stuff every day. You're dealing with history every day. But how you deal with it, how you recognize it, is what's important. You don't have, I think I posted recently, you ain't got to be the smartest person in the world ever. Just be a person that's based on facts, and see how much you'll pick up every day. See how much you'll know every day. See how much God will bless you to understand. Because, Lord, I'm basing my life on fact of what is a fact? What is real here? Not what people are telling me. When I read my Bible, I want to understand it for myself. What's the fact that applies to me? This is what we should be doing. But I don't think we do it. I don't think we do it. Because we find ourselves lost. Lost. All right. We got about 10 more minutes. Any questions? Any questions? I know I appreciate all of you all being here tonight. We were later, and there's still a lot more of you here, and I'm very appreciative of that. Tina, people remember using math when they're telling people they are on their last nerve. I don't know about all that. I understand data sets are everywhere, basic calculations and geometry. However, graphing out equations was some no, it all depends. It's just like you sound like your mother when she talks about statistics. Um, it really just comes down to how you go about figuring out math. That's it. How you apply math. I hate math. Let me make it very clear to you. I am not a fan of math, but I can utilize it. I can use it for what I need it to use it for. Um, and I think that if you approach it that way, you'll be good. You'll be good. Anybody got anything else? I know we're coming down to the end. I just wanted to make sure um, that we're addressing some things tonight as we go to it. I had a different plan for the show tonight, but I am very happy um, with everything that you guys have been putting out and talking about tonight, and questions you've been asked. They're very astute questions and needed questions. Got a little froze there. Yeah, I hate math, but you're absolutely right. My entire career seemed to focus around math and how do I use math, statistics, data analysis, signal analysis, and whatever it may be. And that's just a part of it. It's just another hat to wear in the grand scheme of everything else that God has blessed me to learn. And I do appreciate it because it does become useful when I need it. Um, and I need to explain things. Oh, before we get off of here, let me tell you something. My son brought up, you guys are getting ready to experience a solar eclipse. Is everybody aware of that? Everybody's aware of the solar eclipse that's coming, and uh, they're tracking it. I think it's going to be over Indiana. I don't think in Chicago. I think you guys will see a moderate eclipse. It won't be as strong as it is in certain parts of Indiana because it's going to be out. The full solar eclipse will be outside of your viewpoint. But I'm going to say this to you. Be careful. Just be careful. I always worry about what we teach people. My son wants to watch the eclipse, and he asked us to go get glasses and all this and that. Be mindful of the solar eclipse. Just know that since the dawn of man, there have been eclipses, right? Um, and what happens with it is that people were affected. The Aztecs used to sacrifice folks. They used to sacrifice folks during the eclipse. History writes it down differently and says that they were just cutting people's heads off and murdering their people and sacrificing them to gods. In truth, what the Aztecs were doing is they were sacrificing people because they sacrificed their enemies and people who they had caught in wars and conflicts because they thought they were appeasing God. And why was that? That was because during the eclipses, people would go blind. Why? Because they were looking directly up at a solar eclipse, looking at the corona of the sun, and not realizing that that energy was that UV rays were destroying their eyes. They didn't see it as the scientific medical way we see it now. They saw it as spiritual. So they realized that the only way to do it, they were going to sacrifice. Now that is paganistic and that's what they believe, but that is what they did. But what can't be taken away is the idea and the truth of solar eclipses as they work for humanity. Be mindful of what you're doing when you go out and buy these glasses and these things that they tell you are going to shield your eyes. You are putting your trust in some gas station restaurant, or whatever. But I guarantee you on the back of those glasses or things that you buy, they're going to say, we accept no risk or accountability for what you do to your eyes if you use this incorrectly. So I just wanted to put that out there to you tonight. Be aware, because that's coming up, and I don't want anybody getting hurt because they are following and thinking, oh, kids, it's my first eclipse, I want to see it. There are ways to do it safely without trusting things and materials that may not work for you. Validate what it is that you're using, and I'll leave it at that. Did you guys enjoy this episode tonight? I hope you did. I apologize again for being late. I had things that were going on. There's really nothing that I could do about it. But I hope that coming on this late tonight, you still got something from it and you were still blessed with information, because that's really what we try to do here. Give you information that's going to help you grow your knowledge and your understanding. So if there's no other question, we're coming down the last 2 minutes. I will entertain one more question if you got it. But while you're preparing that, let me tell you, go out, get the book. Get the book. If you don't know what book I'm talking about, if you still aren't one of those people who have, paid that $18 for a wondrous book that I promise you is going to bless you with some understanding that you've not ever had before. Let me tell you, I put out a book. It's actually my first history book. It is I'm very proud of it as it continues to grow. Go get the Erudition Network 101 Black History Question Challenge. Go get it. Learn something. I'm telling you right now, this is an outstanding book. It is an outstanding book. I'm only showing you the first couple of pages, but this is an outstanding book. You'll get my personal road to, if people oftentimes try to tell me, Eddie, you're very intelligent, They don't know my background. They don't know what I had to deal with. And it tells you that everybody could learn. But go get this book. Go look at these questions. Go answer some of these things. Right? Go out there and learn. I'm telling you, this book will teach you things and make you ask questions and make you want to dive into what's going on and just put you in a better place about who we are before the time of slavery. If I can emphasize one thing about this book, I will tell you that I spent a lot of time trying to make sure we did not lose ourselves in slavery. And I'm going to tell you something else too. It has hundreds of sources, right? So you're going to learn a lot. If you've already bought it, please go on our YouTube page, go to our Facebook page, give us a review. I love to hear from those who've already bought the book, right? You go out and get this book. I'm telling you, you're going to get something from it. It's on Amazon, right? You can go get it from Lulu Books, the publisher. I'm still waiting on Barnes and Nobles to pick it up, but it's out here. It's important. Get it. Prioritize your history. If you learn something tonight, imagine what you can learn, and it's interactive. You ask it a question, or it asks you a question, you choose the answer. If you're wrong, it's going to tell you. There's a part for you to get a hint, and then go back and answer it again. Get it wrong how many ever times you want. But when you do get the right answer, it's going to tell you why it's the right answer. You could stream it to your television. Play a game night with your family. Pull it up on your phone, stream it to your TV, to your smart TV, and just start asking these questions. Grow together. All right. I pitched that book enough for you all tonight, but I have to get better about pitching it. I've been because this is the first and a 3-part series. We're getting ready to talk about the dark ages, the Middle Ages, however you want to term it, but we're going to talk about what led us from great African civilizations to being marginalized, and then eventually what led us to slavery. Not that we just arrived there. It's important to know that history. And I'm asking you those questions, 101 questions in each book, so that you know what questions to ask to grow. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us. Please continue to send in those reviews. As I said, talk to us. Let us know what's going on. Yes, I'm aware that I did not turn my banner on. If you want to support the Erudition Network or any of our shows, the Erudition Network, you can do it with our Black History and Knowledge Q&A sessions or whatever, but you can donate to our Cash App, $, the Erudition Network. You can do that. But here's the thing. You can also just go out there, buy one of those books. Grow your knowledge. Come on here, ask those educated questions, and learn with us. And I guarantee you, I will go further with you, and we will know what to talk about as you go get this book. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm getting ready to get out of here. I've talked too much. But I'm going to get out of here. I'm just trying to find my button to get me out of here. This was a later show, but I appreciate all of you guys' interaction. Maybe I am coming on a little bit early. I saw what you said, Eric. Maybe I do come on a little bit early and everybody can't catch it. I'll consider that situation over this last week, but I definitely want people to be interactive, and I don't like to make it too late. So we'll see what happens as we go forward. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm finally there I am. Be blessed until, God willing, I see you next week. Please continue to support the Erudition Network. Catch Tina's show on Monday, the boys show on Wednesday, and me on Thursday. And you will definitely learn something. All right. Peace out. Thank you.